just 2 weeks left of my second year, which is kind of crazy. It snuck up on me a little bit. And I have been noticing this week especially how much my counseling skills have really developed since last spring when I first started in the program. I was looking back through old videos and I found one that I did in my first month, and I was talking about what it was like to complete some of my counseling hours and how I felt unprepared because I didn't have a lot of skills that I could actually use, seeing as though I was only 1 week deep into the program. Which was true. I didn't have a lot of skills. I didn't really know what I was doing. But I went on to say in that video that listening attentively seemed to be enough to get by for the time being. And looking back, that is definitely what I did. I just listened attentively and I validated whatever my client was feeling, and that was pretty much it. Attentive listening and on-point empathy are still huge in terms of getting me through a session. However, before I used to really rely a lot on my clients having a lot to say or even needing just to vent because I wouldn't know what to do if they didn't want to talk. Whereas now I feel like I have way more that I can use and offer to my clients, especially if they don't know where they want to go. I have different places and options for where I can take them within a particular session. I noticed it a few days ago when I was working with my client for this semester. She's a classmate of mine who loves sharing stories and will often go off on these really entertaining tangents. And last spring, that would have been like my ideal client. I would have been like, that's great. You can just tell me stories for the whole 50 minutes. The better if you do, in fact, because I don't really have much to say. But this time I felt like I was really eager to try to keep her on track and not run off on the tangents and really hone in on what we were working on. I was digging for core beliefs. I was empathizing. I was summarizing. I was challenging. I was pointing at behavior patterns. And I was noticing discrepancies between what she was saying and what she was actually doing. And afterwards I was like, whoa, when did I learn to do all of that? As I have mentioned before, Rhodes is an experiential learning school, which means that although there are lessons and specific tools that they give us, a lot of it is a skills practice that just comes from jumping in as the client and seeing what it feels like to actually be counseled in different ways, and what lands and what doesn't, and what realizations do you come across and how did you get there. And then you jump in as a counselor and you work with one of your classmates and you see what lands and what doesn't and what realizations they have and how did they get there. We are also all constantly observing our instructors and how they work with people in check-ins and work differently depending on the situation or the type of client that they're dealing with. So eventually you start integrating all of those experiences without ever really having to study really hard on a particular theory or a step-by-step practice. And then slowly, but also kind of all of a sudden, you go from just being able to listen to somebody to being like Dr. Phil. I'm just kidding. I don't even really like Dr. Phil. He's not my style. But no, I do feel like a rookie still a lot of the time. I know that I have a lot to learn, but I just was excited to share with you that this week I also noticed how much I have developed over the past year. It's not just me though, my classmates are also improving. My counselor for this semester has been awesome. He's been really digging in with me on what my life purpose is, where that came from, why it is, what I'm intending going forward. It's been some pretty intense work. It has just made me realize how far we've all come, where we all started just sort of listening to each other vent and nodding along empathetically, whereas now we're actually helping one another find out what our life purpose is. So that is all I have for you for today. 2 weeks, then I am off to second year, hopefully with my life purpose really nailed down. So stay tuned because I will be sharing that with you in one of my upcoming videos. Have a good one and I will see you next week.